the question had to do, Edward, with attention as a tool. Now, in previous conversation, there was some mention made of thoughts coming up and the realization, I don't need these thoughts. And as an observer of the thoughts that are arising, do you see that attention is a tool in that when attention is withdrawn, these thoughts lose their power and in fact reach a point where they may fall away simply from the lack of power or attention that's invested in them? Could you speak on that, please?
I guess I can dig something out of that. I'm not sure which side of that statement you're on, whether the thought itself needs the attention and that's what we're giving it. I don't know which side of the coin, if you will, you're speaking that from. Attention, paying attention is a function of thought. The observation of thought without paying attention is a function of meditation.
Well, maybe it's me that's not clear on those two terms. What I was getting at, what I was pointing to, is when thoughts arise that are from conditioning, and one is in observer mode and sees those thoughts, views them coming up as being from conditioning and being untrue. The withdrawal of attention, maybe putting attention on something else, perhaps having a thought, even in doing so, that thought's not true, so won't give it any attention. I'll put my attention elsewhere. Do you see attention as a tool for letting those kinds for those kinds of thoughts that are out of conditioning dropping away eventually?
I would guess that could be a result, yes. And for sure, it's a tool within the range of knowledge to use. For instance, if you have a song going over and over in your head and you're singing the words, then there's a helping movement you can do that to simply change the words of the song. And next the song, at least it ceases perhaps repeating in your head. That would be something like what you're talking about, isn't it? Would it not be?
It was more when someone is maybe sitting in silence. I can't speak for someone. When I am sitting in silence and a thought will come up, maybe triggered by something that someone says on Paltalk or whatever, and seeing that thought come up as being from my conditioning and being triggered because of that, and seeing the lie of it and taking the attention away from it, and therefore maybe the thought loses power until it drops away completely.
Yes, I can see that happening. It's kind of like fake it until you of allowing a thought to dissipate, as opposed to following the thought to its end. Daniel D, I guess you lost sound. Welcome back. Les Mansley, welcome. What is your experience of following a thought till its end? Have you had that experience?
Yes. You asked me a two-part question, Edward. You do that too, eh? So yes, I have had the experience, and in following the thought to its end, what usually happened was a clearing of some kind. If I followed it to its end, or let's say its beginning, the clearing was usually going back to a core wound or core wounding. I don't know what phrase you'd use, and possibly crying would happen, or a seeing of the lies of it all, or whatever. But the experiencing of that core wounding, and letting the energy go through crying, or through whatever means. I'm not much for writing things down on paper and writing letters to people and stuff like that. I have talked to my dog, so to speak it out, but I don't even do that very often. There's more just a seeing of it and crying it out. I seem to cry more than do anything else when in those kinds of situations.
Well, from the standpoint of clearing, they're probably equal. Probably the most powerful of the experiences that you were speaking of is the one of dog, because that's the one that comes the closest to speaking with yourself. So if any of them had any sort of perhaps success ratio, is probably that one. The crying and the letter writing and the note taking and that sort of thing are all, let's call it, not very deep or shallow kinds of fixes. They will fix shallow problems is all. Well, yeah, but you can talk to your dog and get away with it. But that's what the power of prayer. That's why prayer has gotten such a good reputation, is because it's the action of creation when it's not the action of repeating. Why does everything have to have a qualifier?